Hello and welcome back to the HCCTV Student Lounge. This is a show that by HCC students for HCC students to give our opinions in news, entertainment, and what's going on in your school. Now, my name is Carago. How are you today? So, before we move on, I need to say something because Carolina is trying to escape from us, okay? I don't know where she's going, but she's like, I'm done with those guys, and she just disappeared. And Benjamin is trying to steal her place. He knows the, third time that he's here, but I'm glad to have you. How are you, Benjamin?
I'm doing pretty good, Kyle. Thanks for having me back. So today we're joined by Josh, Andres, Eric, and Vincent. We're also joined by our guest, Ron Albright, who's here to talk about global warming and NASA. But first, let's move on to our top three news of the week. So let's not forget, hurricane season is still here. As of Monday, Tropical Storm Delta is picking up speed and heading towards the Gulf of Mexico. However, despite weakening approaching the Gulf Coast, Delta could still be a formidable, strong hurricane at landfall. You know, it's crazy how the Gulf of Mexico and states like Louisiana and Texas have been hit by the hurricanes this year. So I just want to let everybody know to stay safe and know your precautions, and also go to like your local city websites and to see what you can do to prevent from stuff happening when we have strong rains here, especially here in Houston where you have all these high floods. So it floods like in one snap. So on other news, Regal Cinemas is suspending operations at all U.S. locations. So Cineworld Group, who owns Regal Entertainment Group, made a decision to suspend operations at more than 500 locations this coming Thursday, following the cascade of postponements from big budget Hollywood films. Most recently, one that I wanted to see also and what I was waiting for is the new James Bond title, No Time to Die. So with these news, Kyle, have you even visited any movie theaters out there?
I haven't been to a movie theater in so long. I was planning on going to the drive-in ones, but I think they only have like two in Houston, one or something like that. But I kind of want to go check them out. But I don't know if I would enjoy too much being like, even though you have like social distance and the chairs are separate, still like you're breathing the same air. So God knows, right?
Yeah, we gotta take our precautions, and talking about that, also one of the persons that at least expected to catch COVID, Trump, just was tested positive for coronavirus. So President Trump revealed earlier Friday last week, warning that he and the First Lady Melania Trump had tested positive for the coronavirus. This shows that the virus is still out there, and we do need to be careful. So regardless of what party that you side with, we are hoping him a fast and speedy recovery for him and the First Lady. So is there any precautions, still talking about this virus, do you have any precautions that you're taking, Kyle, to like prevent this happening to you or your family?
Always stay home.
Stay home, that's the one, number one. So now let's begin with the first topic of the day, which brings us to a great discussion. Global warming, is it real, is it not? So what do you think about this? I myself, I do see a lot of change happening with this world. I mean, you hear all the time in the news that like these ice caps up in the North Pole and stuff are melting, and then eventually these are all going to melt, and we're not going to have our polar bears, which is sad. And there's been a lot of signs that have been done, and it's been talking about how the climate is getting warmer, and also that we just talked about hurricanes. We're getting more hurricanes. I don't know if you've noticed this, but we're getting more hurricanes. Could it be because of this global stuff, like this global warming stuff? So I guess that's the topic of today. What do you think, Kyle?
I think that this is all lies. There's no global warming. No, just kidding. Yeah, this is a topic that since I was a kid, I remember the professors talking to me and trying to teach us. And there's so much behind because we imagine just, oh, it's just global warming, but it's not just that. It literally affects the whole ecosystem. One little thing is like the little butterfly effect. You change one thing and the whole scenario is broken. You see how many, you talk about hurricanes. Look how many hurricanes we're having now, like two at the same time, like all those crazy things happen, the wildfires in Colorado, in California, and this is all like for one thing, and each year it gets worse and worse. And I don't know what we're waiting. That's the truth. Like we're just keeping like postponing. No, we're gonna worry about, the future, the ecosystem or the everything that we have now. We can worry that later on. Let's enjoy what we have right now, and in the future we see what we're gonna do. And that's a big mistake, because first you got to think about our kids too, or babies and who we're gonna have here. So we cannot just think about ourselves. And the second one, there's ways to keep having a good life but you can also improve by, taking care of the environment. For example, plastic. Every time I go to, restaurants or places like this, you just spend so much like things to go, like so much plastic that goes straight to the trash after that. And and other things too. I'll pass along because I know there's a lot of people here that wants to talk about. So let's move on to Eric. What you would like to talk about?
Uh, well, Kyle, the thing about the global warming is like right now with the deforestation, a lot of rainforests are being cut down, and that has a severe effect on wildlife and the environment. And it affects things like tribes or the village people that live in those areas and that have their farmers and everything. But another big deal, you were talking about plastic earlier. They're throwing a lot of trash into the oceans, and that's polluting the environment and the waters. And that hurts the wildlife down there and affects all kinds of things that we need for our own resources. So to me, we should really take care of the environment, and that will take care of global warming. So I think it's very important that people that are watching this understand how important it is to take care of the trash and take care of the forests and other important resources. But that's my opinion on this topic very much.
Yeah, I like that you brought this point, Eric, because actually, I'm from Brazil, and in Brazil, that's what's going on right now. They're burning so much of the territory, like the Amazon forest, and it's really sad for me to be all the way here, just watching, my country and all the green being destroyed like this, and the impact that's being created, all the wildlife, and the worst part, I feel like the government is not doing enough, pretty much nothing. That's what they're doing. But I don't want to get into politics here, and I want to move on to Andres. What do you would like to share with us, Andres?
Caio, many world leaders in the world say that climate change is not real. Of course, I think that is real. Between 97% and 99% of the scientists' publications affirm that the climate change exists, is something real. So one of the consequences of the climate change is the ice is melting because of the global warming, of course. And Kaya, something that I learned about I'm taking right now a geography class, and something that I learned that is that the 97% of the water in the earth is salt water, and just 3% of the water is fresh water. This is the water that we can drink, just 3%. And 68% of that water came from the glaciers and from the ice. And right now, because the global warming, the ice is melting. So this is a big problem, very big problem. So right now we have a high temperatures, and the greenhouse emission is too much. We have right now a lot of gas emissions in the atmosphere. So that's why we have right now a very big problem. So the climate change is something real, very real.
Yeah, and we can see already, like how things are happening. Well, the worst case scenario, we may need to move to Mars, and talking about that, we actually have a little video that we want to share with you. So hold tight in there. Let me share with you guys.
I have an idea.
Really? What is it?
Let's leave.
So for some people, the solution is to leave, a beautiful planet Earth. But I don't think that would be the perfect solution. So to talk about this topic, climate change, we actually have Ronald Bright, and he's a professor geographer at Houston Community College, and he also has a really interesting background. He worked for NASA in the past, so he knows a lot about our planet, other planets, and all those things. So how are you today?
Doing great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what were you doing in NASA?
Yeah, so I was actually finishing my graduate studies and in geospatial information sciences, and I was working at NASA at the same time with their Earth Science Division under the Science Mission Directorate. And so we worked on global societal benefit projects like a cholera outbreak in Bangladesh, or what gases are emitted from a volcano from using satellite data, Additionally, mitigating floods by releasing water from reservoirs upstream, and anything that concerns the benefit of human beings.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I remember we talked a little bit. So one of the things that you study and you work with was by watching, from using satellites and all the technology, trying to identify what's happened with the planet, the different changes going on, right? And that's been really helpful to, warn people and actually prove to them that there's things going on. So can you share a little bit about the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have about 26 to 28 Earth observing satellites that are about 250 miles up from the surface of Earth. And it takes them about 90 minutes to do one orbit around the Earth. So that's about 16 orbits per day. And each of these satellites have different sensors on them. So some may have infrared or thermal type sensors. Others may have gravity measurement or elevation sensors. And then also you may have a precipitation, something that measures the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere, in the cryosphere, which is frozen, and just rivers, lakes, and streams.
Perfect. And what do you think about moving to Mars?
Well, I was actually, I left NASA in 2013, and so I was there for the Mars launch, or the landing, that is. And I think that that's why there's been a lot of time, other than the ones with a lot of money that can put money in those projects to get resources, natural resources, which would be terrible, from Mars.
Perfect. So now let me open the questions to our students. So Andres, would you like to ask him something?
Professor, I want that maybe that you explain something about the greenhouse effect, how affect the climate change.
Yeah, okay, so the greenhouse effect is exactly how it sounds. If you have a greenhouse with, you've got vegetation and living things in there, it's to trap just the perfect amount of moisture and heat. So the same thing is with the Earth's atmosphere. It's a very thin layer, and so electromagnetic radiation or insolation, energy from the sun, comes in, it hits the surface of the Earth, it goes through the atmosphere, and it can do different things. Some of it can be absorbed, some of it can be deflected, some of it can be bounced back up. But it's critical for all life on Earth to have this Goldilocks temperature. It's just the right temperature for life to occur. So even though it is critical, since anthropogenic, the human error has been on Earth, we've seen the CO2 levels increase at a very alarming rate, and with that is the global warming, which comes with melting ice and which comes with rising sea levels as well.
I have a question for you. All to talk about fossil fuels like oil and gas and coal and natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the renewable power like solar, wind, thermal. Do you think that that's more of a good idea to go into, or do you prefer that we just kind of stay in the range of just the money-making extraction of oil and natural gas and coal? Which one do you think is a better idea for us to kind of stay in a safe way, yet profitable?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Eric. Thank you. It's a good question. So the three, main fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, and coal. It's forms of energy that we have already demonstrated. Take Sweden, for example, has gone 100% renewable energy. So other than the wind turbines, solar energy, and you also have geothermal and hydro power as well. So some days in Sweden, they're doing over 100% of energy, 100% renewable. Okay, of the global scale that we're on here, And just as one of the commentators here on this panel mentioned, is that depending on where you're at on Earth, one thing that occurs in one country could affect another country. So Earth is an open natural system, and with that, we need to do it on a grand scale, such as a global scale. And so the Paris Agreement that was signed in 2016 covers a lot of the guidelines for that. And so it does have to be at a global scale. So I think that going into the turbines, the production of solar panels will increase the employment for those types of new industries, and at the same time give Earth back its lungs and try to stabilize the planet, because we only have so many more years left before Earth takes over and reinforces itself.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, Ron, before you leave, I have one last question. So what are the things that us, each individual and person and student, what can we do to avoid and to help, at least like take a little longer for the global warming to keep happening?
Right. Yeah, so there are many things. The simplest is to simply change your diet. You can start tonight. And so going from beef to chicken would reduce the amount of land for the resource of cattle to raise. And then you use up less land for the chicken production. But methane gas is released from cattle, and beef, the more that we order, the more they're going to produce. So they release methane from burping, and methane is a high contributor to the greenhouse gases. There's 23 molecules of CO2 for every 1 molecule of methane. So changing your diet, changing the way that you are for your transportation. You can ride a bike, or you can walk, or you can take a mass trans like a bus or a train. And then doing those little bitty things. And then we always say reduce, reuse, and recycle. Okay, so Houston does have recycling areas. However, they also have restrictions on putting solar panels on some of the homes. So it just depends on where you're at and what county or area of Houston and the surrounding areas you are in. But just doing some of those simple things and buying friendly, green, like light bulbs and such for your home. And then there are also natural and green chemicals that you can use for your household goods as well, which also favors the climate and climate change. One more thing is water resources. If you reduce the use of your water, then you're saving more of that precious natural resource, which is also going away.
Well, that's a great answer, and I hope that everybody at home watching this right now really start reflecting about it and start making the change. If each one does your own part, like, we can definitely change the future of our world, and leave something good for our kids. So I know this is really sad and complicated. So let's talk about different reality, and for that we're gonna bring Vincent to talk about gaming. The reality that you choose. So how are you, Vincent?
Hey Kyle, thanks for having me here again. So this week has been pretty big for Minecraft. Minecraft, everyone's played it. I've played it, you've played it, your nephew's probably played it. It's sold over 200 million copies worldwide. So last weekend, they had their live conference introducing their new 1.17 update. It's called Caves and Cliffs Update. It basically changes the whole game. Expect new areas and new monsters. Besides that, the biggest game in the world, Minecraft, will be coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. With their main character Steve coming to the game, you can build and fight at the same time. Besides that, I also want to recommend a game for everyone to play this week. I've been playing this game a lot lately. It's called Among Us. It's a 10-player game, so you can have 9 other friends with you, except 1 or 2 of them are imposters, and they'll be trying to kill you. So it's a free game too. You can also play it on your phone or the computer. It's a lot of fun. It's hilarious trying to run away from your friends and accusing who is the imposter and who's not. Okay, back to you, Kyle.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Vincent. So we also cover things that are fun to do and to talk about. So today we're going to be sharing some interesting topics as always we do, but we have some really cool series and films that we want to talk to you about. So I would like to start. So first I would like to talk about Our Planet. It's one of my favorite documentaries when it comes about, the world itself. So it talks about a lot of like how the climate change are affecting our world. But what I like the most about the show, it's because it gets to a point where you start to see there's so much life out there, things that you didn't even know exist, especially like some really interesting animals and insects, for example. And they're so related to each other and you don't even know like what's going on out there because you're always usually just home, enjoying your couch. And once you see that and you understand that your actions are actually going to impact this whole system, that make you think different how things work, and maybe that's gonna be enough for you to start changing. I start changing. Once I watched that, I was like, wow, yeah, we need to do things different. I recycle everything in my home. I avoid using plastic. So things like this, once you click, you can make the change. So let's move on now. Andres, what do you like to share with us?
Today, right now I'm very interested in the tsunamis. I don't know why, but right now I'm very interested in that topic. So that's why I want to recommend the movie The Impossible. The Impossible is a movie from 2012, starring by Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor. So the movie is about the tsunami that occurred in the Indian Ocean in 2004. It was a very big tsunami that killed a lot of people in 14 different countries. So the movie is about an American family that went to Thailand to enjoy the Christmas celebration. And in the second day that they was there, they impact from the tsunami. The movie is very good movie because they have a lot of effects. So I really like the plot of the movie, and it's a really disaster. All the movie is very impact because all the disaster that occurred by the tsunami. I really want to recommend that movie called The Impossible.
I want to recommend a movie called The Day After Tomorrow. It came out in 2004. It was directed by Roland Emmerich, who did the Independence Day movie. It's about global warming in many ways. It's about this event that happens that causes anomalies all over the world. Tornadoes in Los Angeles, the tsunami hits New York City, all these environmental events that are affected by global warming. So this has a lot to do with our topic. And it's a very serious, dark movie, kind of a dark fantasy sci-fi, but it's very much grounded in a reality type base. We're talking about climate change. But I do recommend it for the entire family. It's rated PG-13. It was done by 20th Fox, and it's a good movie. It's about 2 hours, but it has a lot to do with our topic. That's my recommendation for today. Thank you.
Since we're talking about the environment today, I wanted to bring up the 2006 animated George Miller film Happy Feet. Happy Feet is a movie about a penguin who can't sing like the rest of his tribe, but he can tap dance. Now, the movie is about accepting that you are different and it's okay, but there's subtle themes about the environment that I think were looked over when it came to marketing and children in general. One of the main characters in the movie, Lovelace, he wears a 6-pack ring around his neck like a badge of honor, but later in the movie it ends up choking him, and it's just a throwaway joke in a children's movie, but it has serious repercussions about what humans do to the environment itself. Even though it is a kids movie, several political correspondents like Glenn Beck of CNN criticized the movie for being propaganda instead of it just being an innocent children's movie. And Director Miller said Antarctica is essentially ground zero of global warming. So you can't exactly tell the story about penguins and Antarctica itself without mentioning the environment and global warming. In fact, the sequel, Happy Feet 2's plot is driven by glacial shifting, which causes Mumble's tribe to be trapped. So I think it's definitely a message that should have been more promoted within the movie. And if they ever made a third one, I think it should be the main focus.
Perfect, Josh. That was a really good topic that you brought up, because I never really thought about it. I mean, I watched the movie a long time ago when I was a kid probably, but I didn't realize all those topics that you brought along. Anyways, guys, well, it's the time of the day to say goodbye. I know you guys are going to miss me a lot because everybody misses me, right? No, just kidding. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. But before you leave, stick to the end because we have the funny video of the week or the meme, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels. Also follow the Facebook page. We are HCC, so you can follow us there, and also look out for our videos, and comment down on the bottom. Hey, next time you want to talk about another topic that you're interested in, let us know and we will talk about it. So thank you so much for being here with us. See you on the next one.